This is a day in my life as a Torontonian going to Disneyland parks for a day. If you're looking for some juicy content, please remember to like, follow, and subscribe, and be ready for the video now. Going to Disneyland seemed like a dream, and this is exactly how I felt while going. Once you successfully park your car, you make your way towards the shuttle bus service and we wait at the bell drop. Once then, you directly go towards the Star Wars ride because that ride is going to take the longest for you to wait. But if you go right away, then it's much less of a wait, so it's much to your advantage. Getting close, not that long away. Now, because we decided to go early to the Star Wars ride, we only ended up waiting actually 25 minutes, which is substantially better than the hour-long wait that other people do have to wait when going in the middle of the day. Once you enter the room, as you can see in this video here, you're given the main character of the new franchise, giving you a lowdown of what you need to do and the missions that you need to go and undertake. Now, while being in this room specifically, I was genuinely surprised by the amount of effort and detail they actually put into making this ride the way it is, and for that you have my round of applause because when we were here I had an amazing time. Once we were done, we were asked to walk over to the other side to the space station, and you'll see what happens next.
Order, everyone disembark immediately. Let's go.
Oh my god. Holy crap. I don't even have a mic, but I'll put subtitles. So cool. No, I'm not gonna lie though, at this point I was somewhat lost and kind of overwhelmed what was going on and everything that was happening in our situation in this moment, but I just thought everything was genuinely cool, and the amount of animations and the sound systems and everything incoming with that was really cool and dope. The next part of the ride actually gets way better than this, so I'm excited to show you right now. Now this is when the ride becomes peak interactive, so you're on kind of like a car-like thing and you're just put into individual different sections. So as you can see, stormtroopers are firing quote-unquote bullets and shots towards you, and it felt like such a surreal experience. There's also like AC ventilations blowing towards you to make it emphasize and make it even more real. You know, honestly, I was absolutely shocked by the fact that it was a lot more roller coastery than I would have expected it to be, but I sure as heck was glad that it ended up being that way, and I couldn't get enough of this ride every time I was passing through every single individual sections, and it was fun for sure. Now that last clip you just saw specifically, I had a hunch that it was going to be some sort of drop. Although I've never seen any clips of this ride previously, I put away my phone, and it was probably a good decision because once that drop happened, there's a guarantee that I probably would have dropped my phone while filming this video, so I wasn't able to do that. Otherwise, I have a few words going to the next part. Okay, so we just finished off the Star Wars Resistance ride, and that in itself was super fun. I'll go into detail a little bit later about that, and now we're on our way to the Haunted Mansion ride, I believe it's called, so let's do that. Now, the Haunted Mansion ride was super duper dark, so I don't have too much footage of it, but one thing that's super cool is that they're actually releasing a movie based on this ride specifically, so I'm definitely looking forward to watching it when it does come out, so it's cool to make the comparisons. Okay, welcome everyone. So we're here at Disneyland right now, and so far this place has been absolutely crazy. Two rides that we went on so far was Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, and that was really fun, and then we also went on another ride which is the Haunted Mansion, and that was fun in itself too. In terms of getting here via parking, it was really easy. You have attendants constantly directing you to wherever direction you need to go to. It costed $30 for the parking. It wasn't too bad. You take a shuttle bus over to the Disneyland parks, and you can choose whether or not you go to Disneyland or Disneyland California Adventures. We chose to go to Disneyland first, and we already went on 2 rides already, and we're going to continue to do some more rides, so come along with us. Let's do it. Alright, so as you can see here, this is the lineup for the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, and what's really cool actually is that the Haunted Mansion and the Pirates of the Caribbean ride are right next to each other, parallel, and actually the production of the Haunted Mansion movie has creators from the Pirates of the Caribbean movie helping out to create the Haunted Mansion, so I also thought that was really cool as well. For most of this ride it was pretty dark, so you can't really record anything or see anything. So while being in this ride, I tried to record as much as possible, and this seemed like the brightest part of the ride. A cool detail about this ride is that you actually do see Captain Jack Sparrow or Johnny Depp, so I thought that was a cool side note. There was way more to this ride, but like I said before, too dark and I was unable to record it, but overall I had a lot of fun while coming through this ride specifically. And actually there he is right there, so I don't want to bore you too much more with this section of the ride, so let's move on to the next portion of the vlog. Alrighty, so we have just finished the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. That in itself was really cool. There's a lot of things and eye candy to see. You might get slightly wet, but it's really not too bad. There's just a few moments with drops and splashes, but overall not that bad. 20-minute wait. Really, I think we waited about 15 minutes to get inside, and we're on our way to the next ride now. So initially we wanted to go to Indiana Jones, but that didn't work out as planned just because I think it was under maintenance when we were in the area. Later did I see that it actually did open, but the wait times were way too long, so we didn't have a chance to do so. By the way, this girl was a little weird. Let's hear it right now.
That's why I don't shower, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a part of her script to say that, but nonetheless, we went into the epicenter of the Disneyland Center, which is obviously the castle. Right afterwards, we stopped by Snow White, but I think we were stopped because they were under maintenance, but don't worry, we went later in the day, so we made our way toward It's a Small World. Let's get it. Okay, so at this time, we're currently on our way to It's a Small World. I remember going to this ride when I was a little kid, but of course, when you're a little kid, you normally don't remember a lot of different things, so this time as an adult, let's do it again. Another reason as well as to why we went to Small World was just because of the small wait time. It wasn't nearly as long as the other ones. I think it was 10 minutes or something, so pretty reasonable amount of time to wait for. Right off the bat, right when you enter Small World, it's obviously meant for kids. It's really cool how they include all different types of cultures together as you ride into the ride itself, and it was a nice touch as well. You'll see in a few moments that they actually do add special characters like Pinocchio, Lilo and Stitch, and also Jungle Book. I think I saw Toy Story 2 as well, so that in itself was really cool as well. The aircon was bumping in here, so I didn't really feel that hot because I think on the day specifically it was a little hotter, but just because the AC was bumping in this ride, it was just a huge sigh of relief to be able to go through it. We did also see Little Mermaid and Aladdin, and I bet you can probably find a variety of different other Pixar and Disney Easter eggs within this ride that I don't really specifically remember when I was a kid, nor the fact that I do remember anything in general except for like the small little important details. But otherwise, I had a really good time in this ride, and I think the kids in front of us did too as well, so it's pretty much a ride for all ages. We made our way towards Mickey Town, and let's get an update. Alright, so we sort of arrived at the top end of Disneyland Park, and honestly, this place is a dream. I honestly didn't expect it to be so crazy. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me or not, but let's do some more. Now, the thing about this area specifically is that it's super catered to kids. Well, I mean, although you can argue that all of Disneyland is catered to kids in general, this was really catered to young ones, but nonetheless, we had a good time exploring and seeing that portion. And like I mentioned before, we actually had a chance to go back to Snow White to be able to actually wait in line and go back in. And the only reason why we went back was because the wait wasn't actually that long, so we were kind of in the mood to wait for it. And I noticed that with this particular section of Disneyland, it seemed a little older than the other parts of Disneyland, so a lot of the rides in this portion, I'll show you in the b-roll, look kind of similar and kind of operate and move the same way, but it was still fun nonetheless. You feel so red, your heart starts beating like a big quick pick me up. Okay, so we stopped by the Starbucks coffee here at Disneyland Parks, and it's like the coolest thing. These specialty cups have Disney Parks on it, so that's typically something you never see. Very exciting stuff, and we're gonna move on to California Adventures, so let's go. Now, this is us on our way to Disneyland California Adventures, and I was noticing a group of kids on the side there, so I thought I'd record that too. So fascinating because as a kid in Toronto, you're going to Canada's Wonderland for a school trip, for example, but this is like amplified x 100 way better. But here's inside California Adventures. Alrighty, now we're inside California Adventures, the park on the opposite hand side of Disneyland. So far it seems a little quieter and the vibe is a little different than Disneyland, which is really interesting to me personally, and I'm ready to enjoy more of the park, so let's go. After seeing this view right here, it just made me realize the Hopper ticket is 100% worth it for sure. Crazy, absolutely crazy. This right here is going to be the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, and as much as we want to ride this ride specifically, we weren't able to because I think I remembered the wait being 100 minutes, and there's no way in heck that I was going to actually wait 100 minutes, so we ended up going to the Spider-Man ride as well, thinking that wouldn't take as long, but turns out it changed to a longer wait, which kind of sucked, but it was okay because we still managed to go in, although it killed a lot of time. But let me show you how the first ledge of this ride was. It was kind of interesting to hear.
But I keep things around here pretty chill.
It all helps us develop really cool stuff like these spider bots, for example.
Now, as much as I really want to show you guys what this ride was like, the music and the voice acting of Tom Holland and etc., I really can't do that, just in the case that we do get copyright striked, and that's something I really want to not do and prevent as much as possible. Anyways, the ride was really cool. It did take a long time to get in, but we finally did, and I do not regret going to this ride, I'll tell you that right now. We were assigned into a pod of group of 4, and I didn't record much of the actual footage, but the cool thing about this ride was it was extremely hands-on, so you had to use your hands and swing webs and hit targets, and that was extremely fun in itself, and I kind of want to show you something cool too.
Let us keep going with movement. Sa, chi, natara. Repeat. Yes, okay? Okay. Sing through honor and compassion here today.
Now, as you just saw in the clip there, Disney California Adventures has an Avengers section, and it was showcasing different Marvel characters and doing little segments, and I thought that was really cool and probably one of my favorite parts about attending Disney California Adventures. And there was also a showcase too with Black Widow and Black Panther, and they were doing like fights on top here. Unfortunately, I can't have the music and the sound effects because you guys know, because there's music in the background, so that's copyright. Regardless, we made our way towards the Radiator Springs Cars area, and it was so crazy how realistic everything looked. I thought I literally was in the Grand Canyon, and it's the most fascinating thing ever. We also had milkshakes, and one cool thing is, I didn't think we would get into this ride. That the Cars ride was actually under maintenance while we're having the milkshakes, and then suddenly becomes open, so we had the opportunity to actually go into the ride, and it was probably one of the best things ever. So we only waited about 20 minutes, and honestly it was super duper sick. So Cars was definitely a surprising ride for sure. There was so much about it that was so cool, like the CGI effects from the eyes, just beginning, and then the actual roller coaster adventure that you go on was really cool too. Obviously I couldn't record that part specifically because my phone would fall out of the seat, so I had to record in parts where we were able to. Regardless, I thought Cars Land, this specific section, was super cool, and we made our way towards the Pixar Pier, and it seemed like there was a lot going on, and I enjoyed it. The Pixar Pier was extremely nice, but I think going to Disneyland and this trip specifically, we really wanted to go through every single ride that we possibly could go through in one day. So we noticed that Little Mermaid was actually on a short wait time, so we thought we would utilize the time to be able to go inside this ride specifically. This Little Mermaid ride itself was pretty cool, more cooler than I actually expected, but I also did notice a lot of similarities with the rides at Disneyland. It would obviously make a lot of sense considering the fact that the main demographic are children. It was cool how everything was sort of glow in the dark. I thought that was an extremely nice touch as well. And it's interesting how I think the Little Mermaid movie actually recently released, so being in this ride also had a new meaning to it as well, just because of the re-release of the movie coming pretty soon. At this point I was thinking to myself, oh my goodness, you really could stay in Disneyland for the entire day, especially if you go to both Disney California Adventures and Disneyland. It takes honestly a lot of time just waiting for rides and eating and etc., and just walking around to a lot of the different attractions. In fact, you need more than one day. I would say the best thing you should probably do is dedicate one day to Disneyland and the other day specifically to California Adventures, because I personally thought that we didn't even explore much of California Adventures. Like for example, here we just went through the Pixar Pier briefly, saw a few rides, but then we had to go back for the parade, which was happening like in a few hours or so we didn't really get to soak up much of the experience, and it's a little bit of a pity, but yeah, we had to head back as you can see now. Now the parade was definitely an interesting thing for me personally, just because it seemed like a commercial, but the commercial was actually in real life, and the choreography and the music was pretty good, I'd honestly say so. So originally, Carolyn and I wanted to go towards the castle initially to watch this parade, but we were told by a lady that actually being here is not a bad idea either. The parade is basically going to be the same wherever you are. Just being at the beginning was actually a lot better for us because, as you can see, it seems like there's a little bit more room actually than if you were just to go somewhere else. I actually didn't even know about this parade until Carolyn told me in the schedule. So overall, if you're heading to Disneyland, this is something you definitely have to check out. Parade is a must on that checklist for sure. Also, I personally thought that seeing all the Disney princes and princesses was really cool, and the amount of detail and acting that these people go through is beyond par and super excellent. Ironically, actually, so once you complete going to Disneyland, they send you a survey of how each park did and if they sparked joy into you or if they went above and beyond in giving you that quote-unquote Disney spark, and it certainly did. Just looking at all these people, they're obviously extremely trained, and I give all props and respect to these people. Now, because of copyright, I obviously can't show you how the backtrack and music goes, but as you can see in the video here, you see individual parts of the parade, and each individual part has a specific backtrack that corresponds with it. Not sure if they have a speaker somewhere hidden, but I guess that's kind of how the parade rolls. Now, this food was pretty good. It's like a macaroni bowl, but it was obviously too much, so we weren't able to finish that, unfortunately. Otherwise, at this time, this view was absolutely beautiful, and then we made our way towards the other classic Star Wars ride. Now, I know a lot of people probably know this ride, and I was asking my dad and mom, and they said that this ride has been here for a hot minute. Afterwards, we made our way towards the new portion of Star Wars being inspired and went on the Millennium Falcon ride. That was pretty fun in itself. We assumed that a lot of kids would probably leave after the parade, so that's why we maximized and tried to go as many rides as possible.
Bad feeling about that last group, but I get those problems. What? The first owner will never know we were there. Okay,
there was finally a part where there was no music in the background, so I think I'm pretty sure I should be able to show you that. Otherwise, we went through the ride a little bit more.
A first order train shipment of coaxium. Gunner, pilots,
and afterwards, we had to do a little bit of an interactive portion. This part was really cool, so we were in the back just pressing a few buttons, and we enjoyed the ride. Afterwards, we just explored Star Wars Land a little bit, and I must say it was really incredible to be able to do so. Detail-wise, absolutely spectacular. Then we went towards the central area of Disneyland again. It was a little bit of a walk, but why we did it was just because the vast majority of the rides in this area were short waits, so we wanted to maximize the amount of rides that we were able to go on. I also want to mention that it was unfortunate that we weren't able to go on a few rides such as like Guardians of the Galaxy's Monsters Inc. or Indiana Jones, but it is what it is, and we'll probably go another time next time. But nonetheless, as we were going through this Peter Pan ride, I noticed that it was a little bit of a longer wait, and I was wondering to myself why. But as you can see in this video here, it's kind of cool because you're hanging with your legs and you're just going through the ride itself. So I felt like it was a bit of a up one in comparison to the normal cart rides from the other areas. So it kind of makes sense as to why this was a bit of a longer wait. Otherwise, we went to a few more rides, but at that point I was extremely tired and I could barely open my eyes. And then after that, we just went home. So as you can tell, I am back in Toronto, and this is us just heading our way back home. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. Alright, so as you can see, I am currently back in Toronto, and Disneyland was an absolute blast for sure. I would highly recommend going regardless of how expensive it is. It's definitely still worth it. Now, with that being said, remember to like, follow, and subscribe. Be on the lookout for more content coming up, and that's it. Peace out.